Come to the advanced auditing and assurance session. Today we are going to answer question 1, August 2024. The first question is in 3 parts, A, B, C. A, B, C. The first part, A, is a case study. We read that XYZ Auditors is a medium-sized audit firm that has been operating for over 15 years. The firm has a diverse client base that includes small and micro enterprises, non-profit organizations, and publicly listed companies. Recently, XYZ Auditors experienced the following issues that indicate deficiencies in the quality management system. 1. The firm faced regulatory scrutiny and legal action due to a significant audit failure that involved publicly listed client Beta Limited. The regulatory scrutiny revealed material misstatements in the financial statements that were not detected during the audit process. 2. Several cases were reported where auditors had close relationships with the key personnel of clients' organizations, likely comprising the auditor's independence and objectivity. 3. Meanwhile, many audit staff had not received sufficient training on recent changes in auditing standards and new regulatory requirements. 4. The firm often struggled with the resource allocation, resulting to audit staff being overburdened and rushed audits, which led to the quality of audits being compromised. 5. Inconsistencies in audit documentation coupled with the lack of sufficient audit evidence to support conclusions reached in several audit engagements was also noted. The above issues had prompted the firm's top management to consider implementing international standard on quality management to ensure their quality management system and address these deficiencies. Required: analyze 6 components of ISQM1 that XYZ auditors should focus on to address the issues raised to comply with the standard. Now, candidates, the ISQM1 provides a framework for firms to establish and maintain a system of quality management that promotes high quality audits. So this is standard, it is a standard for auditors. When you are auditing, you are required to ensure that as an auditor or as an audit firm, you maintain a system of quality management, a system of quality management that is geared towards promoting high quality audits and other assurance engagements. And candidates, you see, life becomes easy for an auditor because we have guidelines for you to ensure that you have no problems like XYZ auditors here. An audit firm that performs audits in accordance to these standards, then such a firm is likely not to find itself in an awkward situation like XYZ auditors. But if a firm does not adhere to these standards, such a firm may be subjected to regulatory scrutiny and legal action like XYZ auditors. But below the issues that were raised, we read that the above issues have prompted the firm's top management this is the audit firm's top management, to consider implementing international standard on quality management. And the objective is to enhance their quality management system and address the deficiencies. So the question is, analyze 6 components of ISQM that the auditors should focus on to address the issues raised to comply with the standard. That is the question. This is August 2024, question 1. A. Components of ISQM. Now, currently the first component is on leadership and governance. Leadership and governance. The first component, leadership and governance. Leadership and governance. What does that mean? That means that everything stops at the desk of the leadership. If the audit firm is failing, if the audit firm is under scrutiny, regulatory scrutiny, if there are legal actions being taken against the audit firm, then it is the leadership of that audit firm should take responsibility. And therefore, if there are to be corrective measures, if this company is to change, then it has to begin with the leadership and governance. Because the question reads, the above issues have prompted the firm's top management to consider implementing ISQM to enhance their quality management. So it has to begin with leadership and governance. Clear leadership. The firm should appoint a leader responsible for quality management. Clear leadership. The firm should appoint a quality management leader, a leader responsible for quality management. There has to be a leader specifically who has the responsibility for quality management. A leader who should have the authority and resources to oversee the system, quality management system. There has to be a leader, clear leadership. Clear leadership. That is one way to correct this problem. Now, still under leadership, there is the question of ethical culture. Ethical culture. Related to leadership, we have ethical culture. The firm should develop a strong ethical culture which should be promoted throughout the firm, emphasizing the importance of independence, objectivity, and professional skepticism. Strong ethical culture should be promoted throughout the firm. Ethical culture. An organization, leave alone just audit firm, any organization that is committed to ethical culture, strong ethical culture, such an organization will not have issues with the quality of work. We are talking about a disciplined culture, a culture where people complete tasks competently. So that all that falls under leadership and governance. So there are two aspects here: clear leadership and ethical culture. Clear leadership and ethical culture. So candidates, if you have to face such a question in an exam and you had not read anything on ISQM, or you read but you had forgotten, what would you write? And you see, this is just coming as a first question. You get into the question and you are slapped with question 1. Now, if you are composed candidates, you will, even if you've not, you had no knowledge about SQM, you can still earn some marks. Because we are dealing with an audit firm that is not committed to quality work. We read in note number 2, several cases were reported where auditors had close relationships with key personnel of clients. Many audit staff had not received sufficient training. Isn't it basic, candidates, that if you are to perform such tasks, the audit work, you have to be trained? There is a principle we call professional competence. Professional competence. So the audit firm is not adhering to basic principles when it comes to auditing. So in note number 2, we see the independence and objectivity of the auditors being compromised because of close relationships with the key personnel of clients' organizations. That raises the question of number 2, ethical requirements. Ethical requirements. We've read here in note number 2, independence and objectivity is compromised. So the firm should have policies and procedures to safeguard the independence and objectivity of its auditors, including measures to address conflicts of interest and relationships with the clients. Independence and objectivity. Independence and objectivity. That is another way to address the second issue. The audit firm should have in place policies related to independence and objectivity. Policies and procedures should be in place, and the purpose for these policies and procedures is to safeguard the independence and the objectivity of its auditors. Because we read in note number 2 that they have close relationships with key personnel of the client's organizations, which compromises their independence and objectivity. That tells you that there are no clear policies and procedures in relation to independence and objectivity. Professional skepticism is also part of ethical requirements. Auditors should be trained to maintain a professional skepticism throughout the audit process, questioning the management's assertions and evidence. 3. In number 3, candidates, we read that meanwhile, many audit staff had not received sufficient training on recent changes in auditing standards and regulatory requirements. So there is a problem on human resource. These are auditors. The audit team is not well trained. You note number 3. That is a problem. So what should the firm do? And you can see, candidates, I'm just getting answers from the question. In note number 3, we read, many audit staff had not received sufficient training. If that is a problem, so the question is asking, what are some of the ways that can be employed to address the issues? Should focus on to address the issues raised to comply with the standard. We know there is a standard of professional competence where auditors are required to maintain professional competence. They are to be trained. They are to ensure that they have the relevant knowledge, skills, and experience to undertake their audit work. They are required to keep up to date to the changes in regulations and in the environment to ensure that they have all the relevant knowledge and skills to undertake the audit engagement. So here we read that the audit staff of XYZ auditors are not receiving sufficient training. To address that, candidate, then the firm should ensure that its audit staff have the necessary education, training, and experience to perform their duties effectively. So that is competence. To address point number 3, untrained staff competence. Train the staff. Ensure they have necessary training. Develop the staff. Development. That's another way to address the problem of human resources. The development simply refer to the ongoing training and development which should be provided to keep the staff updated on changes in auditing standards, in regulatory requirements, and also best practices. Human resources. Then in note number 4, we read that the firm often struggled with resource allocation, resulting to audit staff being overburdened and rushed audits, which led to the quality of audits being compromised. Now, the firm struggled with the resource allocation. We all know, candidates, resource allocation is carried out at what stage in the audit process? Is it not the planning stage? So that means the company had a problem. There was a problem with the planning or performance. So this is now actual practical auditing, performance. When they go down to work, you see there is poor planning because you read they struggle with the resource allocation. the audit staff were being overburdened. That means that there was no proper resource allocation. The people were not properly planned. There was poor planning. There was a problem with the performance of the audit work, engagement performance. There was a problem with the engagement performance. And how do we correct the problem in note number 4? Planning. The staff were overburdened, rushed audits. So there's a problem with planning and even supervision. To correct that problem, what should happen? Audit engagement candidates should be adequately planned and supervised with the sufficient resources allocated to ensure that work is performed effectively and effectively. That is what should happen. What happens then, we may not have these problems where staff are being overburdened. You may find that some staff are being overburdened and others are idle because there is no supervision. You understand? Then if there was a problem with the performance, then there was also something to do with the risk assessment. The firm should conduct a thorough risk assessment at the early stage of the audit, or let me say at the engagement level, to identify and address potential risks to the audit. Risk assessment is also related to engagement performance. Risk assessment. At least, are you following? Or you left? See, you are leaving and coming back. Is it your internet or what's the problem? Justin, I also see you jumping in and jumping out. Are you following the discussion? Jackie. We are answering August 2024 question 1A. There is a case study here where XYZ auditors is not committed to quality management. The firm has been in operation for over 15 years, but the firm has so many problems. Auditors experience the following issues that indicate deficiencies in the quality management system. This audit firm has no quality management system, and because of that lack of quality management system, the audit firm is experiencing issues. With the last one in note number 4, where the audit staff are being overburdened, audits are rushed, staff are, the firm is also struggling with resource allocation. So we are discussing ways to address the issues so that this firm can comply with the standard. And when the firm complies with the standard, then the firm may not have the issues that it's experiencing at the moment. So another component of the ISQM is monitoring. Monitoring is a key element of quality management. Quality management, monitoring. You cannot have effective quality management without monitoring and evaluation. I know all of you are management students, And even if you had not covered ISQM and you come across this question, these points should you should be able to give these points, because these are the same things you cover in leadership and management. Monitoring, controlling is a key element of any quality management system. So for this firm to avoid the problem that is the problems that is experiencing, then this firm has to have what we call quality control reviews. Quality control reviews as part of monitoring and evaluation. These are regular quality control reviews which should be conducted to assess the effectiveness of the quality management system. And by reviewing work regularly, the audit firm can identify areas for improvement. Through monitoring and evaluation also, the management will have feedback mechanism. A feedback mechanism should be in place to allow staff to report concerns or issues related to quality.